The scene, Detweiler Park on the banks of the Illinois River in Peoria, where over 1,000 runners have converged. But this is not going to be any old Saturday run in the park. This is the 50th running of the Illinois High School Association Boys and Girls State Cross Country Championships. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Stocker, and welcome. For the 7th straight year, Sports Channel will bring you highlights of 4 races. We'll have girls and boys races on both the A and AA level. We'll also interview the individual champions and talk with the coaches of the winning teams. Once again, Lee Halberg joins us alongside. And Lee, of course, the pressure, the pageantry, the tradition of this great state event. But the one thing everybody talks about here is the weather.
Well, I'll tell you, this may be the best day we've had in a number of years. It's right now very cold, a wind chill down in the single digits, but it looks like it's going to be a great day to run.
First of all, a little quick course in how to score a cross-country event in terms of the team championship. Each of the teams that have qualified through regional and sectional competition bring 7 runners. The first 5 finishers are then across the finish line. You add up their place finishes, and the team with the lowest point total wins. So obviously you want your team to run in a pack, Lee, and ideally you like to have that spread of your first and 5th runners about 35, 40 seconds. You get over a minute, you're asking for trouble.
Well, we're going to see several teams today who are going to exhibit, in my opinion, textbook form in that regard. We've got several groups today at all levels, A and AA, both boys and girls, are going to do a real fine job of packing.
All right, our first race today will be the girls' Class A championships, and for the individual title, any one of a dozen or more runners really has a legitimate shot at winning the individual title today. You got to look, though, at the veteran Sue Gibson. She was the winner here, the state champion as a freshman and a sophomore, was 3rd last year, and just got to like that experience of running and handling the pressure here at this course.
Well, I'd have to pick her also as the favorite. There are 6 of the top 10 girls that return, Tom. I think that there are a number of girls who have a legitimate shot, and certainly several that are going to be up there in that front group.
Also, Mary Ellen Hill, she has 3 top 10 finishes already to her credit. She was 4th a year ago, yet she finished in 2nd in her sectional last week. And Lee, this is one level where really freshmen seem to have an impact in the state championships here.
We see it every year. It's not unusual for a freshman, a newcomer literally to this state cross country meet, to step up and run well. Heidi Knapp of Eureka has done just that. She beat last week in the sectional Mary Ellen Hill by 20 seconds, so it will not surprise me if we see her running up front today.
Also, Herscher's freshman Jill Miller was also a sectional winner, so indeed they seem to grow up quickly here in girls Class A cross country. They're at the starting line. Let's go now for our first race today, the girls Class A state championships. And there's the start. First of 4 races, the girls will run just a little over 2 laps around Detweiler Park, and they will run 2.1 miles. And Lee, let's talk right now about the team battle in the Class A. Of course, Winnebago has won it the last couple of years, but ranked number 1 in the top times poll, Normal University High Lady Pioneers won a very strong Oregon sectional, and they've got everybody returning from last year's team.
Well, this might be the toughest team race to call of the day, but I've got to give the nod to Normal U High. They were 3rd a year ago. They return all 7 runners to this race. They're starting in box 1 to our right as we face the runners. Les Hampton says they're not going to try to do anything special in this opening quarter mile, but they're just going to try to work their way to the right and run the best race they can from that starting position.
Byron finished 2nd behind Normal University High in the Oregon sectional, also won the Winnebago regional. Boy, Winnebago and Byron, always a great rivalry back and forth. And Tuscola Atwood Hammond co-op team won the Muhammad Seymour sectional, upsetting Delavan in the process, and they could very well figure in today's team race as well.
As you mentioned, Delavan, they're ranked 2nd prior to the state series by the coaches in Illinois. Tuscola 4th a year ago, so they just missed a trophy spot. They're going to be right in the hunt. You got Kankakee Bishop McNamara, who was 5th in '94. I expect they'll be right there as well.
We are at 4:51 as we head down the backstretch here at Detweiler Park. Sue Gibson, Trenton Westland, right now the leader, with Heidi Knapp of Eureka running 2nd. And running 3rd from Georgetown Ridge Farm, that is Nicole Brucker. The freshmen are staying with her right now as we're coming up on the first mile. Just about the halfway point, again running 2.1 miles here at Detweiler Park.
I think Heidi Knapp's in a great position. Take the pressure off, let the senior take the lead. She's been here before. As they approach the mile mark, it's right now at 5:37, 5:38.
5:38, so a little bit over 11-minute pace. The top time in girls Class A, 11:47, when Becky Garrett won the title in 1990. It's becoming a 4-runner race right now. Sue Gibson, along with Nicole Brucker, Heidi Knapp, and Bethany Clockengay of Delavan. She is in 4th. And the freshmen have responded well to the challenge of Sue Gibson.
Well, they're right in it. They look good. I think they're running in control right now. This is going to be an exciting final mile.
We're at 6:23. Our first of 4 races. The girls Class A as they get ready to head to the North Diamond. And this is where it could sort out, Lee. Also, we'll try to keep an eye here as they go through and keep an eye as to the team battle. What you're looking for here as they enter the diamond is any one particular team is able to keep its pack together, keep about 2, 3, or 4 of the runners in one group. Now Heidi Knapp is moving out. She's taken a slight lead over Sue Gibson. Heidi Knapp, who was second at the Amboy Columbus Day run and won the normal University High Invitational this year. Also won the Delavan Classic. Sue Gibson has moved back in the first place.
This may be where experience is a big factor for Sue Gibson. You can't make that final move too soon in this final 300 meters, but it looks like Sue Gibson is letting it all out.
Sue Gibson, champion as a freshman and a sophomore, is going to win for the 3rd time. She's at 12:03, 12:04, and across the line at 12:06. Heidi Knapp is second. Stacy Sullivan finishing, double check that, finishing 3rd. That is Clockengay. Finishing 4th, Nicole Brucker. Here comes Stacy Sullivan. She trips and goes down. And Delavan's number 2 runner is coming across the line. That was Jessica Hall, who has just come across the line. And now we keep an eye for the team battle. Winnebago has had 3 runners come across the line as they sort them out there in the chute. There's Winnebago's 3rd runner coming across the line right now. And here are the top 5 finishers for girls Class A, with Jessica Hall, the freshman from Delavan, finishing at 12:30. Nicole Brucker, another freshman from Georgetown Ridge Farm, she finished 4th at 12:20. Bethany Clockengay, the junior from Delavan, finished 3rd at 12:15. Heidi Knapp, another freshman from Eureka, 2nd at 12:09, just a second behind Sue Gibson of Trenton Westland. What about your race today? You went out there from the start. In fact, those 2 freshmen were up with you, and there was going to be, in fact, going into the North Loop, it was a 5-person race.
Well,
what were you thinking?
I was thinking, are these girls going to give up yet? I couldn't believe it. I haven't had all year somebody stay with me past the mile. And I felt like giving up so much during that race, but I couldn't, because it was like there's 4 girls right in front of me. I'm not going to let this just blow away like that. I feel that I've done all that I could for the last 4 years, and that I have a really good record, and that I owe it all to my friends and my family and my coach and my team, because first time we made it in anything for girls.
Now you can see very high point totals in this wide open affair in girls Class A. Gardner South Wilmington was 5th at 191 points. Herscher 4th, 186. Delavan was 3rd, 172, just 4 behind Bishop McNamara of Kankakee with 168. And Winnebago, 2-time defending champion, lost 3 of their stars from their title team of a year ago. Few figured they would be in the title hunt this year, but Roger Fredrickson's team comes away with the title, 154 points.
It is your 3rd straight state championship, but as you said, I thought very well, it really is a different team. It's not like 3 in a row for this particular team. This team itself had to develop its character to win a state championship.
That's correct. During the season, we lost, or after last year, we lost our number 1 runner, our number 3 runner, and our number 5 runner. So it was actually an entirely different team that came out running this year. And, you know, I give those girls a great deal of credit. You know, when you're sitting on that and the question keeps coming back, how about the 3-peat? You know, it's a question that's being asked of a team that wasn't all together last year. It's an entirely different team that was running this year. They handled all that adversity, and they made it through the state championship.
Our coverage from Detweiler Park of the State Cross Country Championships continues after this. Our second race of the day will crown our champions in boys Class A. We're going to crown a new champion individually here, Lee. 6 of the top 10 from last year are back. Matt McClellan was second a year ago. Probably has to be rated the favorite in what has got to be a very wide open field.
Well, I think it is. We may see the same kind of race develop here that we saw in the Class A girls race, where we see 5, 6, possibly even 7 young men battle all the way from start to finish.
Rushville's Matt McClellan won his sectional at Muhammad Seymour, and again was second last year. Chad Veenstra of Robinson, 17th a year ago. He has had a very strong season, unbeaten in major competition.
Well, I think we'll look for him as well as Aaron Hart from Petersburg, Porta, who was second here a year ago. He's enjoyed another great season.
Out of the Chicago area, Peter Muller of Chicago University was the winner of the Lyle sectional. And anytime you get the winner out of that sectional, they got to be rated a favorite as well.
I would agree. This is going to be a real interesting race. I think it may be up for grabs.
And John Luckyhouse of Normal University has had a lot of success individually, while his team's also had a lot of success in terms of winning as a team. Normal University, the 2-time defending champions, not ranked number 1 though. Petersburg Porta is rated at number 1, and this should be very close team-wise.
Well, I believe both Porta and Normal U-High have split this year, and I don't know that either team was at full strength when they've run, but they will be today.
Also a factor could be University High of Urbana in head-to-head competition with Normal University High. Normal University High beat them by 10 points, but again, could be very close in the team race. So let's go now and pick up the start at the starting line, boys Class A. And they're off and running. This is race number 2, our boys Class A final, as they head up that long, long stretch, going well over a quarter mile before they make that first turn. And really, Lee, the one thing that a lot of teams talk about is the philosophy of how to run this opening straightaway to avoid yourself getting bottled off there at that first turn.
I think the worst thing you can probably do, Tom, is overcoach this start. I think if you do what has been successful for you all season long, and you do it again here today, you're going to probably like the results.
Now the boys, of course, run 3 miles, which means they add an extra loop around Detweiler Park. So there's more time for things to happen, more time for things to develop in terms of both the team and individual races.
Well, that's why the start is not quite as important as it is often viewed by some. I think you've got plenty of room here for this to thin out and plenty of room for your kids to work their way up.
We're at 1 minute into the 3-mile boys Class A finals. A wide open individual race and what should be a very interesting team battle. Will the Pioneers of University High come away with their 3rd consecutive state title under Lester Hampton? The early leader, a freshman, Robert Manners from Tuscola. They co-op with Atwood Hammond.
He's followed closely by Dodie Nielsen of Rushville.
And right now, running 3rd from Hillsboro is Jason Billington, a senior. But stretching it out here very quickly, Dodie Nielsen from Rushville. And he's going to see if anybody responds. It's not unusual, though, Lee, to see somebody take off and challenge the pack and see if they'll go with them on the very first lap.
Well, and we're seeing that right now as we approach the half-mile point. Dodie Nielsen has got about a 2-3 yard lead on the rest of the field.
We're at 2:14.
Here comes his teammate, Matt McClellan, number 475. It's 2:17, 2:18 at the half.
2:18 at the half.
Tom, you would expect the top individuals to come through the half in this race at about that 2:18, 2:17 mark, and they're right there. Looks like Peter Mueller from Chicago U-High has moved into second and now closing the gap a little bit on McClellan.
Indeed, Peter Mueller from Chicago University High, who was the winner of the Lyle sectional, has now moved up and is in second place. John Luckyhouse is in 3rd. Dodie Nielsen's in 4th. 4:52 at the first mile.
McClellan looks like he's in control. He came through with unchallenged at that point, but it looks like the field is starting to come back a little bit.
That's about 14:30 pace, which if they maintain this pace would be one of the top Class A finishing times if they're able to maintain it. But right now, Matt McClellan running first, and Peter Mueller of Chicago University High, a junior, is running second. John Luckyhouse is back in third. Then there's the pack for fourth. Matt Kaufman of Eureka has moved up.
Yes.
Of course, his brother, a former champion, Brad Kaufman.
Yes.
Now on this first lap, they will head off into the North Diamond as Muller has taken over the lead with McClellan second. There's Luckyhouse third. From St. Joseph Ogden, running in fourth was John Jameson. And also up towards the front was Dodie Nielsen as he hangs in there towards the front. Now let's see if we can keep an eye here. I see Normal U High's number 2 runner coming through the diamond.
It looks like Normal U High and Porta at 1.25 miles into the race are running it very, very well.
As we head up the backstretch, we're at 11:12. McClellan, seeing that gap grow, decided to close up that gap again, and he's pulled now, and he's taken over the lead ahead of Luckyhouse as they're running downhill here at this part of the course.
Yes, it was a good move on his part. I tell you, the turns are a great place to put some distance between you and those behind. There are blind spots literally on the course, and those are great opportunities to accelerate and open up some distance.
We're at 11:38. A little over a half mile to go.
As we look back through the field, it is difficult to give you an idea on how the team race is developing, but I see 2 young men, including Luckyhouse, running well for Normal U High, and I see 2 or 3 from Petersburg Porta. But as they near the finish line, we'll try to give you a better idea of how that's shaping up.
We're at 12:10. Now Peter Muller has decided to come up and make it a 3-man race. Jameson is back in fourth, followed by Aaron Hart of Petersburg Porta. Eric Rushing has now moved up in the 5th place as we look farther back. 12:34. It is Matt McClellan, who I think a little while ago, before we went to this backstretch, looked like he might be out of the race, but did a good job moving right back up into it.
He's just running real tough and hanging right in there. This is anybody's race right here, although Muller might have tried to push this a little bit too soon. I like to see a young man, a young lady at that half-mile point wait just a little bit long before you start that final run to the finish.
Now Muller was 10th last year. Luckyhouse, as a junior, was 9th last year. McClellan, of course, was 2nd a year ago. Now this is Matt McClellan moving back in front. Last year, McClellan finished 35 seconds behind the champion, Chris Bailey. And of course, last spring, he was the Class A 1,600-meter champion. So he's got a little bit of leg speed as well.
I agree. I think when it comes to that final 200 meters, it will be a real measure of his leg speed. But John Luckyhouse not throwing in the towel. He is right there, and still, you see the good turnover. The arm carriage still high, still strong, and Muller right there as well.
This is Luckyhouse's 4th state final. He was 55th as a freshman, 27th as a sophomore, and last year again he was 9th. We're at 13:55. 13:55. McClellan stretching it out a bit. Luckyhouse is going out with him. Muller hanging in there at 3rd. Jameson 4th. Rushing is 5th.
These young men have battled for the better half of this last mile and not given up much more than a yard each individually. They have just run a tremendous race, and now Luckyhouse has moved up even.
Now they run up a slight incline here towards the finish line. 14:22. It's becoming a 2-man battle between McClellan and Luckyhouse. And this one could wind up in a dead sprint at the finish.
Tom, this is where you've got to judge the finish line. It's still 175 meters away. You've got to judge your energy level and the distance you've got to cover as wisely as possible.
14:48. Now McClellan has moved up. McClellan has opened up a lead. Luckyhouse falling to 2nd. Jameson back in 3rd, Rushing in 4th. Here is Matt McClellan of Rushville, the winner of the Rushville Regional, the Muhammad Seymour Sectional, 15:09. Luckyhouse was 2nd. Rushing is 3rd. Jameson 4th. Muller is 5th. Aaron Hart will come across the line at 15:20 in 6th.
St. Montgomery now finishing 462. Matt Kaufman being challenged.
Now here comes Porta's second runner coming across the line, wearing number 127. That is T.J. Zimmerman. Now here is Rinsola Adelicon coming across, number 111 for Normal University. And the top 5 in boys Class A finished like this. Peter Muller from Chicago University, the junior, was 5th at 15:19. John Jameson of St. Joseph Ogden held on for 4th place at 15:16, just a second behind Eric Rushing, the senior from Tri-City, at 15:15. John Luckyhouse of Normal University High did finish 2nd at 15:12. And Matt McClellan, the senior from Rushville, wins it at 15:10. And we took time to visit with Matt and talk about becoming the state champion for 1995.
For the time I come around the first mile, I think it was 4:50. Then I come around the 2 mile, I think it was like 10:04, so I was way off in the 2 mile. But in the place, yeah, I think it went as planned.
When you had to make your move to stay in that race, were you afraid maybe it might take too much out of you for the kick? Were you afraid of using too much?
Yeah. I'm always afraid that I'm going to waste a little more energy than I really want to on the kick, but, you know, so I had to save something.
So Winnebago, who won the girls' title, finishes 5th in boys with 194 points. Muhammad Seymour with a 4th place finish at 173 points. Then the Illinois of Urbana University High at 135 points, finishing 3rd. University High, the 2-time champion Pioneers, settling for 2nd with 108 points. And number 1 ranked Petersburg Porta. The Blue Jays come away with the trophy as they had 86 points to win the title. And afterwards, we visited with their head coach.
And of course, today we had a good race out of everybody, especially Zach Collis snuck in there, 25th place, made All-State. We're real proud of him. And Doug French came on real strong. He's had, he's been a little bit up and down with injuries and so on, but as a sophomore, ran an extremely good race and made it nearly impossible for them to catch us, I think. I think that's where our weakness has been in the past, is 5th spot. That's where we had to perform today, and fortunately we got what we need.
More of the IHSA Girls and Boys Cross Country Championships on Sports Channel after this. Well, you now join us in the back of our luxurious accommodations. The wonderful group, 169th ACPF of the Illinois Air National Guard, escort us around the course here. We better get to work here before Sergeant Hoka comes and makes us do push-ups here. Girls AA, individually, Cassidy Wall from Montecito, the defending champion, is back. Last year, she ran away from the pack time and time again. She's been bothered by asthma a little bit the last couple of weeks. She may have some stiff competition today. I
think she will. Tom, I don't remember when the field was as talented and as deep as it is. 9 of the top 10 girls from a year ago return. 22 of the top 25 All-Staters are back. I think this has the makings of another great individual battle. Perhaps York's Sandra Meneses, who won a very loaded Aurora East Sectional last week, could be maybe the top competition for Cassidy. She has come on very strong, winning her conference and also winning the regional to go with the sectional. How about the veteran Jenny Zare? She has had 3 top 10 finishes to her credit. 2nd as a freshman. She was 6th as a sophomore, 4th last year. You can never count her out. She's had an outstanding season once again, but I think also Elizabeth Campy of Decatur MacArthur and Nell Shields of Glenbard West are 2 we'll look for up front. Now, in terms of the team battle, Palatine won 4 in a row in a stretch from 89 through 92. The last 2 years, they've been 2nd. And Steve Currens, our coach, says, we've been waiting for this for a whole year. They have mowed down the competition. Impressive wins in the regionals and the sectionals. Well, he has done a marvelous job in the last decade there. I think you've got Glenbard North, also the defending champ, you've got to take a look at. And, of course, York ran to the same point total last week in the East Aurora sectional. I think it's going to be a great team race. Indeed, Glenbard North, as Lee says, the defending champ. Same point total. They had to go to a 6th-runner tiebreaker at their sectional last week to give Glenbard North 2nd. So York also, as they obviously are the defending champs in the boys, could be a factor here in the girls' AA. Let's go to the starting line. The girls are off and running. This is the girls' AA state championship race. Again, like the girls' Class A, 2.1 miles, a couple of loops around Detweiler Park. And, you know, Lee, in talking a little bit more about the team battle, you know, in terms about Palatine being on a mission this year, they have beaten each of their 2 perhaps top challengers, both Glenbard North and York. They beat York at the Oswego Big Cat Invitational.
and they beat Glenbard North here at the Peoria Notre Dame Invitational earlier this season.
And they've beaten them by sizable margins, not insurmountable, but I think in view of those wins, we've got to call them the favorite.
Well, they also scored just 16 points in their regional win. York also had a very impressive 15-point shutout win in their regional win at Lyons. The pack on the opening straightaway, heading for the first turn. And again, this being just 2.1 miles, things tend to happen a little bit quicker.
Well, there you see the crowd on our left really almost obstructing the ability of the runners to run on the outside. There were many of the girls that have tried to make a move.
Cassidy Wall has already moved to the front of the pack. The defending champion is right up there at the front. And right up with her is Sandra Meneses, number 104 from York.
It's a young lady, number 64 from Collinsville, I believe.
That is Katie Meyer, who was second at the Decatur Eisenhower sectional. But Cassidy Wall leading the pack right now. We are at 1:55, approaching the first half mile.
That's Lindsay Spear, number 176 from O'Fallon. It was to our right as you view the field.
Right now we're at 2:22, and the half-mile mark is coming up.
It's 2:34 at the half mile.
One thing that I can certainly talk as an asthmatic myself, once you start getting hampered with it, it's something that's always in the back of your mind. When is it going to come and get me? And that may be something that goes through Cassidy Wall's mind during the race today, since she has been hampered with it the last couple of weeks.
Well, let's hope that she doesn't have any problem today and has a fair opportunity to run to the state title.
Cassidy Wall, Elizabeth Campy, Kristen Worth are the front three. Sandra Meneses of York right behind.
Jenny's there right there for number
Jenny.
17 also.
What a great career she has had.
Oh, indeed.
Now they'll head to the North Diamond, and this is where this race could sort out, or it could get even tighter. Katie Meyer of Collinsville going past us. Our first Palatine runner has come through the chute. 2, 3, 4. 4 Palatine runners have come through, and there is number 5 coming through for Palatine, Carolyn Currens. Palatine right now is looking absolutely
the girls
strong.
from York seem to be following close behind, but Palatine definitely in a position to win this one. With a quarter mile ago, I think I heard Bill Harbeck yelling at Elizabeth Campy to try to catch the truck. He wants her to maintain her focus all the way in and not ease up one bit.
We're at 10:08. And she has got a wide margin on Christian Worth. Looks like back in the pack, as we can see, Meneses right now running third, Zare fourth. And Cassidy Wall looks to be back at about in 6th place, 6th or 7th. 10:26. And she makes the turn back here, this little switchback, and she will have the finish line in sight. Elizabeth Campy carrying the banner for Central Illinois.
Well, I tell you, Bill Harbeck and the program he's developed at Decatur MacArthur has been outstanding. He's had some great teams, and Elizabeth Campy is just another of many great individuals he's coached.
Elizabeth was second last year at 12:05, 22 seconds behind Cassidy Wall. And here is a sophomore, 93. She was third. So she's about to turn in her third all-state performance in 3 consecutive years.
If she'll lift her eyes and take a look at the thousands of people that are lining this finish, it's going to help her right on in this last 150 meters.
Boy, take
this
a look
is quite
back
a spectacle.
At that picture, though. Look back at the line. There's fans streaming on both sides. Fans lined up both sides of the home stretch, and the runners streaming back. Here in the girls' AA, we're at 11:23. The pace obviously slowed up in that north loop.
And I think these girls made a decision. They were not going to let Cassidy Wall run away and win this again. They were going to give her everything they possibly could.
We're at 11:44, 11:45. Elizabeth Campy, unofficially 11:47, which would be a top 10 time in AA. Christian Worth. Nell Shields finishing. Now here is Meneses. Jenny Zier gets another top 10 finish. 4 top 10 in her career. Now we try to keep an eye for the team battle. Coming in for Glenbard North. That is Jackie Hanlon. 2 Palatine runners a finish. Here comes Carolyn Currens along with Jenny Monaco and Charisse Lancaster. Now coming in are Nicole Nemisek for Glenbard North and Carrie Cesario. It looks to be, Lee, very close, but I think the edge may go to Palatine.
I agree with Glenbard North right there as well in second. We'll have to wait and see.
And here are the top 5 finishers in girls AA. Another top 10 finish for Jenny Zier. 4 in 4 years for the senior from Hersey of Arlington Heights. Her time 11:59. Sandra Meneses wound up finishing 4th for York at 11:59 as well. Nell Shields of Glenbard West, 3rd place at 11:58 in a very tightly packed group there. Kristen Worth, the freshman from Normal Community, was 2nd at 11:55. And Elizabeth Campy, who was 2nd last year, she's from Decatur MacArthur, was the state champ in 11:48. And I talked with her about her motivation trying to go from 2nd place last year to being the best this year. In the race, you had quite a pack there going up to about the 1st mile mark, and it was still anybody's race. What was going through your mind, and when did you decide to go ahead and make your move?
Actually, at the mile point, I was wondering, no one had taken a distinctive lead, and I was with the lead 2 or 3 runners, and I was wondering why no one wanted to take the lead, but I understood because I didn't either. So it was kind of, you know, running just together to see whose pace we were going to run, and finally I felt the pace was slowing down a little bit, that I had to go and make my move then when everyone was, you know, all together.
Here are the top 5 teams in girls AA, with St. Charles at 5th at 170 points. Elmhurst York at 146, finishing 4th. Rolling Meadows, surprising some folks, with a 3rd place finish, 144. They finished 3rd in their conference, 3rd in their section, and 3rd in the state. Defending champ Glenbard North settles for 2nd, 123 points. And the Pirates of Palatine take away a team championship. I visited with their head coach, Steve Curran. The great tradition of your program, was that also a motivational factor for your girls, because they know they have a lot to uphold in that great program of your schools?
Yeah, it is. Except for Carolyn, the rest of them, it's their 1st state championship, so I'm really excited for them. But they got calls from other girls that had been on the state championships this week and wishing them luck and talking about what they needed to do down there. And they take a lot of pride in it. There's no doubt about that. The community's been very much behind us all the time. Our principal, athletic director, so we get a lot of school spirit, and we get good attendance at our meets. So there's a lot of pride involved, no doubt.
Well, this is the 50th running of the boys and girls state cross-country championships. Before that, before there was a state championship, there was an unofficial state championship held by this man here, Roy Gummerson, who was then the head coach at Peoria Woodruff High School. Back then, you had the Woodruff Invitational. It had about how many teams in it?
Well, I can't remember anymore. We didn't have too many teams, but I would say maybe 50 teams, 40, 50 teams, the first meet.
And how did this all get started? How did the Illinois High School Association get interested in running a state meet of its own?
Well, one day I got a telephone call from the state office, and they wanted me to come on down and talk to them about it. And I said, well, I have to talk to my principal. He said, I already talked to McDonald's. So I went on down to Springfield, and I'm to Bloomington, and then I rode on down to Springfield with him, and we discussed it. And I told him I thought it was a fine event because any type of a boy, or big or small, could enjoy it. And he said, well, I think we want to get one started. Would you run it? And so we started one, and we ran it down in Champaign. I'm trying to remember. It was on the country club down there first, and then we went to the Savoy or the Illini track, and finally I got to come into Peoria because I thought we had a good facility here.
You must have seen this meet really evolve, something from back in 1946 all the way down to here, 1996, 50 years later, to the spectacle that it is now.
Oh, it's a wonderful experience. Just to even, if you stand over at the side or up in the hill, you wonder, how did they ever get so many people? Because before, we were lucky to get 9 kids out or 10 kids to be on a team. But nowadays, They get 70, 80 kids out, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a good experience, and it's great for the kids.
Mr. Track, Mr. Cross Country, Roy Gumberson, who helped start it all 50 years ago. Back with more as Sports Channel's coverage of the IHSA Cross Country Championships continues. This copyrighted broadcast is presented for the entertainment and non-commercial use of our audience. Any reproduction or other use of this program without the written consent of Sports Channel is strictly prohibited. Now we're getting ready for the final race of the day, and this should be a great one. The boys Class AA. In terms of the team title, York going for its 7th consecutive title, and yet with all the success they've had over the years, they've only had 2 other individual titleists. Marius Bakken, who a year ago was running in Norway, he is an exchange student, could very well be the class of the field today.
Well, I think he is. I saw him run last week, and I think it'll be awfully difficult for anyone to beat him today. And I'll tell you, you take him out, and York's still got a fine team.
You know, the ironic thing is he hadn't even run cross-country until you arrived at York. Of course, at York, pretty much everybody runs cross-country with the great tradition they've had. Other individuals, John Chermak of Palatine has come on very strong of late with wins in the regionals and the sectionals. He was an All-American, an All-Stater last year.
Well, I agree. And Mark Reed of Lockport, I think, also should battle for a front spot. In fact, the number 10 through 16 finishers from a year ago return. It's possible the race could be for second.
In fact, Mark Reed, 11th a year ago, was the winner of the SICA West Conference, also won his sectional at Lincoln Way, so indeed, he could very well be a factor. A freshman, Jorge Torres of Wheeling, has really been a very big surprise in cross-country circles this year. And David Gonzalez, the top returning finisher a year ago, has had a couple tough goes. He's lost to Reed each of the last 2 weeks, but he could be a factor as well.
I've heard he is injured, so he may not be as ready to run today as he would like.
We've already hinted about the team title. It's been a storied tradition at York, the long green line. Joe Newton, the head coach, going for his 20th overall state championship today, their 7th straight, already a state record. At one point this year, though, Lee, they looked to be mere mortals when they lost the Palatine Invitational.
Well, they were at that point in the season. As I said, they have made the progress you like to see teams make at this time of year without Bakken. They've got a 29-second split between their number 2 and number 7 runners. I think they'll be tough to beat today.
They're running very well, and Joe Newton always has them running their best this time of the year. Lockport, though, is ranked number 1, and Lockport will definitely be a factor.
I think so. At Crystal Lake Central, also another team we should look for.
All right, so that sets the stage. The boys AA. Let's go to the starting line. And there they go. The runners are heading up the straightaway. The final race of the day, the boys AA. You know, the ironic thing is we're talking about York going for its 7th consecutive title, that the last 2 years, probably some felt across Illinois that they were very vulnerable and very well could have been beaten each of the last 2 years, but somehow they come away with the title. This year, though, they seem to be coming together at the right time. Schaumburg may also be a team, Lee, that could be a big factor team-wise.
Well, I agree. The coaches have picked them 3rd prior to the state series, and if their kids have that career day you always hope for as a coach, they'll be right there as well.
But that's what you have to have. You have to have 5 guys have the best day of the whole season right here on one day together, and that can be very tough.
Well, I think, you know, the thing that we all try to coach kids towards is consistency, and there are often not many surprises here, or perhaps disappointments, but the kids that have done well throughout the season usually end up, if they're healthy, doing well here.
We're at 1:06 in this 3-mile boys AA final. The pack coming towards us, getting ready to make the first turn. Right now, the early leader, as we make this turn, is Vince Neal from Dundee Crown, wearing number 406. And running second right now is the freshman, Jorge Torres. And we talked about him very briefly at the start of the race here, but this guy has opened some eyes. He runs with his twin brother, a couple of freshmen, and he has had wins at the Forest City Invitational at Rockford, the Wildcat Invitational at Wheeling. It was also the winner in the Deerfield Regional.
Well, Tom, he's not snuck up on anybody, that's for certain, in view of the season that he has had.
We're at 5 minutes. And on this first loop around, they will cut off to the North Diamond. And you see Marius Bakken now has moved into second place. Damon Nicholas of Andrew is leading. Marius Bakken, the exchange student from Norway, is second. Running third, David Zoppel of Glenbard North. And a whole bunch right alongside.
Well, true to form today, this race has developed much like the other three have as well. We've got a great race for the individual and team title.
Boy, Bakken doesn't even look like he is exerting at all.
I think he's well under control. You see the number 2 runner from York come through.
Lockport has had 2 come through the chute, and York's 3rd and 4th have come, and there's number 5 for York. Right now, going into this North Diamond, it is York.
At Makovic now in second.
We are 7:46, and it is Marius Bakken from York emerging from the North Diamond. And it is Matt Makovic of De La Salle, the senior, who was second at the Aurora East sectional, 16 seconds behind Bakken, now running in second place.
This is what it looked like last Saturday in East Aurora for a while. But there is a group of 4 or 5 runners behind Makovic that still look strong, as though they might challenge for that number 2 spot.
The truck has to speed up to keep a pace ahead of Bakken as we make the turn here.
Joe Newton's got every coach's dream to have that type of individual that can battle for the state championship individually, and then that low team split among the rest of your athletes that give you the great team depth.
We're at 8:33. Marius Bakken, who we talked to in the head of this broadcast for this race, had never run cross country. Last year, he was second in Norway in the national juniors in the 800 meters. He says to me, this is like running through the forests of Norway, only with a lot of people watching.
Well, indeed, there are a lot of people watching today.
Matt Makovic of De La Salle back in second. 8:57 right now as we're approaching the 2-mile mark. Mark Reed is back in 3rd place for Lockport. And so that's going to be a big counterbalance in the team battle against York.
You're right. These 2 low digits may offset themselves. The race is going to then be from that 2 through 5th man for both of those teams.
We're at 9:20.
You may be able to hear the din of this partisan crowd here.
And you can see the York crowd saluting Marius Bakken. You know, at first, Bakken did meet with some resistance, as you would naturally fear, because some of the York runners felt that he was going to take somebody's spot.
And he obviously has done that, but I think, too, as time went on, and it's probably a credit to all those kids as well as the coaching staff, they have come to accept this young man and the contributions he's made and is making. This is, I believe, his 2nd time to run here at Detweiler. He has not lengthened that lead, by the way.
No, he is not. In fact, Makovic is making a charge,
Boy,
and
it looks like it.
He has cut that gap tremendously. It's make it or break it time right now for anybody else to catch Bakken.
I agree with you. If anybody's got a shot, it looks like Makovic does, but I don't know how realistic that is. We'll find out. But with the 800-meter leg speed that Bakken has, he should be tough in this final 500 meters.
12:39. Yeah, the all-time best here, Craig Virgin's 13:50.6. Tom Graves at 13:56, the 2nd best ever here. The best time ever, and some felt that Bakken had a chance, perhaps. In fact, it was recently in a 3-mile time trial. His time on a track was very close to Virgin's time over the course, which does 2 things. Very impressive for Bakken, and really puts the time of Craig Virgin into perspective.
Oh, indeed. You know, as I watch Makovic try to close the gap here, he has done something that most runners who trail seldom do. He has kept his eyes up, which has allowed him to maintain physical contact with Bakken. It's so easy for runners at this point in the race to drop the eyes and give up ground, but he is closing the gap. We're going to have a great finish.
13:36 right now. 13:40. Here comes Makovic. The senior from De La Salle, who was 2nd behind Bakken at the Aurora East sectional. He has passed him by. Makovic with wins at the St. Ignatius Regional, the Catholic League champion this year. 13:40, make that 14:09. We're at 14:11.
Matt Makovic looks like he is a man possessed. He is not going to lose. In fact, it looks like Bakken may fade from that second position.
What a race for the senior from De La Salle.
Just outstanding.
For the team battle. And when they were in the diamond, York seemed to be in command. Here comes Mike Murata for York, number 105 across the line. Right behind him is Hanley.
Crystal Lake Central, Tom, has run very well also.
And here are the top 5 finished in boys AA with Mark Reed from Lockport getting 5th place at 14:45. Marius Bakken settled for 4th as he held on at 14:40. Jeff Caldall, who was sidelined a year ago, comes back to finish 3rd this year, the senior from Schaumburg at 14:40. The young freshman, Jorge Torres, 2nd place. He's from Wheeling, 14:37. But Matt Masivic of De La Salle in Chicago, the state champ in boys AA at 14:32. A lot of folks had conceded the title to Bakken, but not Matt Masivic. He thought he could do it.
Oh, after I passed him, I just was holding on for my life. You know, I was sprinting, and because I knew I was in the lead, and I just trying to hold on. You know.
Did the race going to the way you thought it could go, or did you have to improvise some during the race, or what?
I didn't really think about it at all. I didn't have a plan. I just wanted to go out there and do the best I could, and I think I did, and I'm happy with what I did.
So here are the top 5 teams in boys, with Fenton finishing 5th at 187 points. Schaumburg was 4th, 159. 10 points ahead of them, Lockport. First time they've taken home a trophy as they finish in 3rd place. The string ends at 6 for York. They settle for 2nd with 84 points, while Crystal Lake wins the Tigers, winning the state title with 67 points. I visited with their coach, Bill Eschman, who knew that even though the spotlight was on York, that may have been an advantage for his team to come through in the clutch today.
We were ranked 1st at one time in the year, and that puts a little pressure on you, I think. When the pressure's not on you, it's a little easier. And, you know, York should be, I think they should have been the one the spotlight should have been on, because they are the team to beat. I really believe that, and our kids believe that, and I think that's where the pressure should have been on.
They believe that, but then they believed in themselves, too.
Yeah, they really believed in themselves. They ran an incredible race. It's an incredible team. They just put it all together on the last race, and that's what we talked about, not peaking until the last race.
So for the 50th time, we go ahead and put these records into the books. We crown new champions, 4 team and 4 individual champs. Overall, just a tremendous day, and another reason why this is one of America's great high school running spectacles.
I don't think I've seen a Saturday state cross-country meet in Saturday in Illinois where we've had 4 great races, both individually and team-wise, as we've had today.
And a great job done by the folks here at Peoria High School, Principal Dick Green, Chris Perry, Mike Lawless, all the members of the Peoria Central cross-country team who volunteered to come out and work with us, the Illini Striders. Everybody's done a great job in just putting on another great day of racing here at Peoria.
Well, the coaches also have come to me and asked me to thank Sports Channel for their commitment to this event. They think it really adds a degree of class and quality that most states lack in this nation.
So the 50th running of the Illinois High School Association Cross Country Championships is history. The Vice President of Programming for Sports Channel is Mike Bogat. The executive producer is Kathy Karp. The coordinating producer is Dave Turner. Today's event has been produced and directed by Bob Albrecht. For Lee Halberg, this is Tom Stalker. The preceding has been an exclusive presentation of Sports Channel.